I'm Frank Powers, and this is Lifestyle Tucson, the program where I speak to our neighbors, the people behind the scenes of our amazing organizations that are 501c3 nonprofits. Our friends are informing you how they serve our communities, and they are here to give you updates on future projects. Let's make some new friends today. Yeah. Monsoon season is here, and leaping lizards. That means a lot more snakes, toads, tortoises, and reptiles might show up in your yards and neighborhoods looking for loving in all the wrong places, especially those sulcata tortoises. Lucky for us, we in Tucson are fortunate enough to have Southern Arizona Reptile Rescue and Education. They are Southern Arizona's only licensed reptile rescue and 501c3 in town. They're dedicated to rescuing reptiles and giving them temporary home until they find new loving families. They are very proactive in finding new homes and host adoption events several times each month. Potential adopters are required to complete an application and provide photos of yards, enclosures, and depending on the species, proof of experience caring for a scaly friend. Southern Arizona Reptile Rescue and Education provides STEM-based educational presentations to classrooms, clubs, and groups here in Tucson. They offer reptile adventure birthday parties and have reptiles available for photos and film work. Amazing. And today, I'm fortunate to speak with Cressy Brown, founder and executive director of Southern Arizona Reptile Rescue and Education. Cressy, welcome to Lifestyle Tucson.
Thank you, Frank. We appreciate you having us.
And it's a family affair. We've got a lot of fun folks here. Next up, we've got Cody Shockley, location manager. Cody, welcome to Lifestyle Tucson.
Hey, thanks for having us today. It's a privilege.
And lastly, we have Callista, junior herpetologist and co-owner, of Southern Arizona Reptile Rescue and Education. How are you doing here today?
I am doing very good, and I am very grateful to be here right now.
Oh, and so polite. Well, how old are you, old lady? 40?
I am 9 years old, although I have 9 years of experience.
Oh, well done. So been living the lizard life for quite a while here with all the fun folks here in Tucson when it comes to our little critters. It's so fun to meet you. I do love interviewing our young entrepreneurial folks here in town that we sometimes call kids. But this is a person who's a business owner in town, and that's what we're all about. So it's really important to learn all about the really culture that we have here in Arizona when it comes to reptiles. And a lot of these critters that are unique to just our region, right? Is calling them critters offensive? Is that all right?
That's perfectly fine.
Okay,
we call them
cool.
critters, kids. Yeah.
Good. So I've given a little bit of what you're all about, but let's get the 101 of what your organization is really all about.
So first of all, I just want to clarify that we only deal in non-native species. So these are animals that we take in that were previously somebody's pet. They are going to be in the pet trade at one time, and sometimes people can no longer take care of them, so they bring them to us, and then it's our job to find them a new home and take care of them until they get that new home.
So I did see on your website, and you can go find it just by Googling the organization or Bing it maybe, over at Southern Arizona Reptile Rescue and Education. They're also on Facebook and Instagram, easy to find. So one of the first notes that I do see there is that you do not take native species. So tell me what that actually means and why that's important for folks to understand that. Because on my way here, it was funny, I did happen to drive past the local Arizona Game and Fish organization. I was like, oh, I was just reading about them. You would contact them for native species, correct?
Definitely, yes. And it's all because of legal issues. So Arizona Game and Fish is the governing agency for native species. However, exotic or non-native species are completely separate, and anybody can go and buy one from a pet store. You don't have to have a license or a permit, but with native species, you are required to have permits.
Oh, okay. So there's the distinction. Okay, very important. And this is why education's right in the name. I knew I was going to learn a lot about this. I've done a few of the PSAs when it comes to the monsoon season. That's why I wrote that intro, was I was the guy that has to do those PSAs that are telling people, like, don't be afraid, and maybe you don't touch certain ones because the monsoons do bring these little animals out. It is so important with that, and you are here to help people if they do have to turn over an animal as well. So tell me about that process, because I know that maybe sometimes people are moving away, or maybe it's a bit of a burden financially. So you do help folks here in town.
That's exactly what we do. We want to help those people that have decided that it is now time to surrender their pet. A lot of people are not comfortable just posting their pet on Craigslist or Facebook to find it a new home. They want to make sure that it goes to a proper home. and that's where we step in.
It's very non-judgmental for everybody.
That's important.
We don't judge anybody on any reason as to why. I mean, it could go from them moving off to college to something happens and a major circumstance change in life. And so we're never there to judge anybody. Like, the only thing that we focus on is providing the proper care for the reptiles and being able to find them new homes and allowing the person surrendering them to feel secure about that.
That's important because these are people's pets and they care about them. And I myself have wanted to adopt a tortoise for so long, but I just know that I don't really have the right situation for it. And I see that people do it, and then they probably might be taking on something that they don't realize might have been more than they thought, right? So tell me about some of that, because you're laughing over there.
Yeah, I'm laughing. We got 36 sulcata tortoises right now that we're currently taking care of.
Wow. It was a note there that it was a sulcata tortoise epidemic. Tell me about this.
It really is.
Okay.
So in Arizona, and not necessarily in other states, sulcata tortoises, which are the third largest species of tortoise in the world, they are very large. They can reach up to 200 pounds, and they're going to live for 80 to 100 years. They're sold as golf ball-sized tortoises in pet stores. Now,
Really?
Exactly. And it's very difficult for somebody that is not familiar with them to look at a tortoise like that and think that it could ever in the future be a problem. However, they grow very quickly. They have special needs and requirements just like any reptile. And if they're not taken care of properly when they're a baby, they're going to develop issues like metabolic bone disease, which is a lifelong health issue for them. But these tortoises, once they get big, they can be extremely destructive to yards. So if you have any landscaping, it's not going to last. Flower gardens are not going to last. And people get them thinking that they're not going to have these issues, but when they get to a certain size and they become destructive, that's when people think, okay, well, now I need to just get rid of it. And so we get a lot of them that have outgrown their welcome. And now we need to find them homes that are qualified homes, which is extremely difficult. And there's a lot of physiological issues that these tortoises come with, such as a female can lay up to 3 clutches of eggs per year, and they can retain sperm for up to 5 years, which means one person that lets their female become intimate with a male is potentially going to produce hundreds and hundreds of babies. And that is a problem. We have been seeing tortoises that are dumped out in the desert, which is a very unsafe action for the tortoise, and it is also illegal, but it also introduces things like bacterias and funguses and diseases and parasites to our native species. People are dumping them, people are surrendering them left and right, and they are living longer than the owners that have them. And it is just a huge problem. And we really do want to try and stop having them sold in the pet trade so that we can try and get this addressed before it becomes even worse.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest problems, too, is the fact that people don't have proper setups for them, right? So these guys, and I know from first-hand experience dealing with the ones that we have at the rescue, like, no matter how good we are at building their enclosures, like, they're still escape artists.
That's what they're known for.
I would say probably about 50% of the sulcatas that we currently have at the rescue have all escaped out of somebody's yard, and a lot of people don't pay enough attention to their reptiles to look for any, like, distinguishing markings to be able to claim them. So we end up having to put them on hold for 10 days to see if we can track the owners down, which is virtually impossible with sulcatas. And we just end up with an abundance of them. But like she said, like, they're golf ball size when they come out, when they're babies, right? And they're being sold for $50 to $60. So if you see something, we can all agree that turtles and tortoises are cute. They're adorable. There's no way around that.
I really wanted one for like a decade, but I just did not have the property to do it. And then we had to move. I certainly don't now, but I've always considered it. If you out there think you can take care of a tortoise, now, if you do have the land for it, how hard is it to, like, you know, adopt one of these tortoises and actually keep it? Because I had a friend, if you want to hear a funny story, that bought a home here in Arizona, but part of the lease and part of the deed of it was, you have to house this tortoise that we have. And they had built a lovely enclosure for it. It's like it comes to the house and you have to keep it. And he's like, oh, okay. And they did. And they lived there for a couple years, but then they moved off and then sold it off to someone else that then had to keep it. But it was a part of the house. Isn't that interesting?
That is funny, but that is not even the first time that I've heard that. We have just finished up a home care for a tortoise in the same situation. The people bought the house, but the tortoise came with the house. It was a sulcata. It was very, very well cared for, and he had a lovely little habitat out in the backyard. But we had to go and do home checks for him and feed him about every other day until the owners were ready to actually move into the house.
Wow. I wonder if it's the same person.
Well, this is a sulcata, and yours was a desert tortoise.
Oh, I might have just been.
So,
I might have been
okay.
misspeaking because I am uneducated.
And this was very recently.
Okay, yeah.
So-
Okay, so there, you never know.
Yeah,
But
you never know. But it
that's
does
so funny.
happen. And we hear a lot of people that move into houses that have ponds, and then they find out that they have pond turtles in the pond,
Mm-hmm.
and they either want us to come and get them, or they want to surrender them, or they just want to know how to take care of them.
And as far as the adoption process goes, we're very thorough about it, right?
Yeah.
So we intentionally adopt out the reptiles and amphibians that we get in. And so the whole point of that is to find their permanent home. And so you mentioned earlier that we do require proof of enclosure, and we definitely do. So when it comes to the yards or box turtle setups or anything like that, we always make sure that they have everything set up appropriately, as well as an underlayment around the edges of the perimeter, because box turtles, sulcatas, they love to dig,
I'll
right?
say they like to dig out, right?
And they
That's
can
what it
dig
is.
pretty quick and
Yeah.
get pretty deep, right?
Yeah. I had a neighbor as well, and he had one. Again, it could have been, it was a big tortoise, I know
Right.
that. And you'd watch him walk it down the street, and he'd go walk it downtown or whatever, but he'd do it, and then on his way back, it's in a wagon, because it doesn't want to walk back, and he'd always bring it back in a wagon. So he'd walk the tortoise with a wagon behind him. It was the funniest thing.
And the amount of times I would sit out in the yard with some romaine lettuce or some Timothy or something, and I would just like make them follow me as I'm feeding them, like
That's
giving them
funny.
into the enclosures.
That's so fun and funny. But now we've learned about some of this adoption. You get a lot of those details, like we say, just Google the organization and go find them on Facebook and over on Instagram. It is, of course, Southern Arizona Reptile Rescue and Education. But let's party, because we're not all here for the responsibilities of adopting these reptiles. Sometimes we just want to get together and have a good time. And you throw birthday parties, you have all these fun events constantly happening. So tell us about what it is to maybe have a fun birthday party.
Well, our birthday parties are definitely the best. And we hear comments like, this was my favorite day ever, coming from the kids that we are celebrating their birthdays with. So typically we will take about 15 to 18 animals. We will do a presentation that lasts about 50 minutes. We will talk about and introduce each of the animals that we've taken. And then we will have some hands-on and photo ops with all of these lovely animals.
So fun. And the reason you're even here was because we were at a party just this past weekend. I met your great organization at Unscrewed Theater. We had a fun 10th anniversary celebration for Comic Chaos and had a fun event. And I'll tell you who the most important people in the room were. It was a lot of VIPs in the back at your area because, wow, I got to meet a rainbow chameleon, or a chameleon named Rainbow. Yeah. And there were all these fun snakes and everything there. So tell me about what it is to get together and like have these birthday parties. But I want to hear from Callista. Tell me about what it is to party with reptiles and what the kids might expect and why it's the most fun birthday ever.
Personally, my favorite about being with the reptiles and what I think kids enjoy the most about the reptiles is the hands-on and the photo ops. A lot of kids, before we start the presentation birthday parties, normally a lot of kids shout out and they're like, are we going to be able to pet and hold the animals? And so either me or Cressy, we tell them and we say, well, at the end, we are going to get some hands-on and photo op time. So we put surprises under the tables. So we set up the tables and then we bring technically 3 surprises. There's a smaller one. Well, Cressy says, yeah, you guys like my reptiles, after we finish the chameleon. And all of them scream, yeah, I love them. And so she says, should we do one more lizard or should we go right to the snakes? And everybody says snakes or lizards. Most of the people say snakes, but some like lizards. So she says, Callisto, what do you think? Or Cody, what do you think? And if she asks me, I say, well, what if I told you guys I have a surprise? And then I pull out Sweet Tart or Twizzler from under the table, and they all scream, and they're like, that's a big lizard. So after we finish with Sweet Tart or Twizzler, I say, you guys like surprises? And they all say, yeah. So I say, what if I told you guys I brought one more surprise? And they say, what? So I pull out red from under the table, and all the kids just go crazy. Like
Now, these names, when you're saying Sweet Tart and red, what are that you're pulling? You're not pulling out a pack of Sweet Tarts candy, right? Is it a lizard? What is it?
So we have a bunch of large monitors and some tegus and a bunch of large lizards.
That's what I mean. It's like a monitor lizard.
Yep. So sorry, I want to tell you about the birthday party, but not give away all the surprises.
That's right.
That's a great treat for everybody, right?
I'm going to edit some of that out.
And so what's really cool for us is the fact that we're working with a lot of the surrenders. We get a lot of cool surrenders into the rescue, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what's really fun is the fact that we got so much experience here. We're able to work with and essentially tame down, which just means like socializing a lot of the cool reptiles. So as the birthday parties and as the STEM nights and the events like we did at Unscrewed Theater the other night, as those keep unfolding, we're going to constantly have new and different animals that we can bring every single time. And so it's always evolving. Really awesome about it, and I think is the most incredible part about it is I've seen reptile shows before, but Cressy has put together such an incredible program that very, very few people there, they may come in like kind of reserved about the reptiles and kind of like on the side of fear, like a lot of people are.
Yeah.
But they leave very happy and with a much different opinion about the reptiles. And she's done a great job of putting in the research and the time to be able to figure out what works to help people associate with them a lot better.
Yeah.
Like the bright colors that she uses, getting them more involved inside of some of the presentations, working with the schools and being able to do STEM nights for them. And then Callie is probably honestly one of our best networkers that I've ever seen. She just can't take her anywhere without her networking with everybody.
She was walking around a lot of snakes the other day, which was super fun. And let me ask you, what pets do you guys have like that you have? Do you have a pet snake? Do you have a pet that you have that's obviously you're never going to give up for adoption? She or he is yours.
Well, we'll start with Callie. Callie will take this one first.
Yeah.
I have a tuxedo, and she's a cat, and never once would I ever let anybody adopt her or take her away from me. She was my second cat. Before that, I had a ginger cat. He looked like a ginger color, so he was a tabby. And his name was Tommy. And sadly, one day somebody opened the door. I think they were leaving because they had surrendered a red-eared slider. And Tommy had ran out the door. And then me and my grandma, because there was a bunch of other people that loved cats, I hope somebody took in Tommy and hopefully took care of him. Because me and my grandma ended up moving. And then, so now I have my tuxedo named Vivi, Vivvy, and I have another cat, and he's a forest cat. His name is Taco.
Taco Cat spelled backwards is Taco Cat, just so you know. Do you have any reptile-y pets or just furry friends at home?
We have a lot of not furry friends, too.
Yeah.
So a lot of the actual pets at the rescue, we use as ambassadors as well. So we got some larger species that we know we have room for. We know they care on. We got a couple reticulated pythons. We got a couple Burmese pythons.
Wow.
We got a Nile monitor, an Argus monitor, and a blue-tail monitor. Those guys aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
We got some big black-throat monitors, a couple of them, and as well as some of the chameleons that we have there.
Heck yeah.
So.
I love chameleons. So that's because, again, so beautiful and fascinating.
Right.
Such a unique, animal in the animal kingdom is a chameleon. So fun and cute, and I love their eyes. So it's really a fun thing to get to know these animals because that is what's important is the familiarity. And we do live in southern Arizona, and the amount of kids I'm sure you meet, but also adults that are like, oh, I've never touched a snake. You're getting them past that fear. I was very, very nervous going up to some of the, I don't know why, there's no reason to, right? But it is, and then you touch them and it's so unique and interesting, and then you do hold it and it gets you past that apprehension. And doing that for kids is really important too, because there's so much science and education, like you're talking about, so much to learn. And it really is something about our culture and community here in Tucson that's very special when it comes to the reptile community, and having people be familiar with them so they're not just, killing them. You don't want that, but also just not abandoning them and not being as afraid of them when they do start coming out when it gets a little wetter around here.
Right.
So
and
really
we
great.
do want people to know that if they ever get into a situation that they need to surrender a reptile, that they can just give us a call. That's exactly what we're here for. Our other main goal is that we want to give everybody a positive reptile experience. Our STEM-based educational program is something that I am extremely proud of. It has evolved over the years, and in the last few years, I have even worked with a retired school psychologist to help develop trigger reducers so that when I go into a room full of kids or a cafeteria full of hundreds of kids, I know that I'm going to be able to present to these kids and the teachers in a manner that is going to lessen anybody's anxiety. And by the end of the program, we will have very, very few people left that still have any of those anxieties about reptiles in general. And we want to make sure that they leave the presentation with a completely different perception. And when it comes to snakes especially, we want them to know that every snake is a good snake. Snakes are actually the second most beneficial and important animal on this planet to humans. And most people have no idea of that at all. But during the presentation, we get to explain to them why. And we let them know that they don't have to like the snakes and they don't have to love them like we do. But those snakes definitely have earned our respect, and we do need to advocate and protect them.
That's so important. And yeah, what a great message right there, because the calls to action for being aware, to not be destructive, and to get educated. And honestly, backing it with science is always so important. And watching you grow is going to be important because you're a great organization. And if you want to get involved, you should help them grow, because I'm sure you're always looking for some help, for some donations. They are a 501c3 nonprofit. You can donate, or maybe donate your time by volunteering if there are volunteer opportunities down there. All you have to do is get in touch. Their phone number is 808-747-6445, and they're open 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. daily. Is it 7 days a week?
Every day.
Every day, so stop on by, because it's always a good time when you're getting to know everything about the surrounding areas in our community, getting to know your neighbors, and getting involved with everybody here in Tucson that's doing something for a cause. And what a great cause this is. What is your address?
Our address is 3027 North Geronimo Avenue, number 1.
There you go, number 1 with a bullet. That's right. So now, if you had one wish for your organization, and I'm going to ask Callista, our junior herpetologist, which also, real quick, what's a herpetologist?
A herpetologist is a person who works and speaks with and communicates to other people about reptiles, amphibians, and snakes, but it's mostly somebody that works with them.
Well said. So now, since you are co-owner of this organization, if you had one wish for this organization, what would that wish be?
That would probably be that all the animals that we get are nice and healthy. I never want to see an animal with metabolic bone disease or any kind of, disabilities. Right now we have a leopard gecko. She can't move her arms. And we have a couple sulcata tortoises that have metabolic bone disease. But I just wish that all the animals that we get and all the animals that we have are nice and healthy so that they can potentially live a longer life.
There you go. That's the spirit.
And a happier life.
And a happier life. And you'll have a happier life if you go adopt one of these great, great animals down there. I can't wait to have you go meet all the fine folks that I met today. Cressy Brown, founder and executive director, as well as Cody Shockley, location manager, and Callista, junior herpetologist and co-owner of the Southern Arizona Reptile Rescue and Education. Southern Arizona Reptile Rescue and Education is Southern Arizona's only licensed 501c3 reptile rescue. Thank you all so much for joining me today.
Yeah,
It was
thanks
a
for having
pleasure.
us.
Thank you.
This was Lifestyle Tucson. Bing bong bing, time for a recap. What a great conversation. Making new friends left and right and young entrepreneurial business owners. Wasn't that young lady so well-spoken, Callista Jr., herpetologist? They told me when we were done that they're actually going out of town because she's speaking in another state talking all about this, because that's what she does. She goes around and really educating kids as a 9-year-old. That's so incredible. But 9 years of experience. So that's the way to do it. I really did have such a great, fun conversation. Again, love talking to smart kids, but also love talking to all of our owners of 501c3s that really have a cause that they care about, and these people really care about all of our reptiles, those sulcata tortoises. I have always thought about having a tortoise. So if you think that you can do it, you should. There's clearly an epidemic and something going on. And why don't we help these old timers? Come on, those old tortoises live to 80, sometimes 100. Someone's got to take care of them in their old age. Why not? But I've always wanted to own a tortoise. One day, perhaps I will. But if you can get involved, maybe you should. Or go volunteer, because you know what? If you can't own a tortoise, maybe you can volunteer down there and help take care of these tortoises, because I'm sure there's a lot of help that they need, but also you can donate to this great 501c3. Again, that's the point of this whole show, is to get you behind a cause that you care about. And if you care about lizards and all of these great reptiles that we have here in Arizona, as well as ones that we don't, those exotic ones that you buy at the pet stores, then why don't you get involved? You can go find out all the details. Just Google them, because their website, actually, I'll even say their website is somewhere that you could help them, because we're going to tell you, like, Google them, because their website needs some improvement. I see this a lot with my young 501c3s. So if you care about reptiles and lizards, but you also know how to do some of that web design, why don't you just volunteer and help them out? I bet they might help you out. They'll probably buy you lunch, but they could use a good bit of help on their website to just get it up to snuff, getitunofficial.com. So Google them to find them. But also you'll find them on Facebook at Reptile Rescue AZ. You'll find them on Instagram at SOAZ Reptile Rescue. Okay, so give them a call over at 808-747-6445, and they're open every day, 10 to 4. They are located at 3027 North Geronimo in Tucson, Arizona, 85705, number 1. So I want to thank our new friends at Arizona Reptile Rescue and Education for joining me today. You've been listening to Lifestyle Tucson. If you're a nonprofit that would like to be on the show, email lifestyletucson@gmail.com. For more information about this program, or to listen to something you may have missed, go to the Sunday Mornings page on klpx.com, kfma.com, mixfm.com, or espntucson.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and Audible, or wherever fine podcasts dig out of their enclosures. Follow on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Lifestyle Tucson, because I'm your BFF, your best Frank forever, Frank Powers. And toot toot Tucson, I love you the most.